It's it's a long road you've been on from the early days to now, and I mean you must have seen all kinds of changes, especially now that you're finally back on the internet for the first time since you were a fugitive.
Right.
What kind of changes have you noticed apart from the attitude change and the paranoia?
Pop-up windows.
Pop-up.
Pop-up windows, and
that's what it's all about.
And spam. No, I think the internet is, when I was busted in February '95, the internet was I was using Mosaic 1.0. I was browsing JPL to look at pictures of Mars. Pretty much, email. There was Gopher, there was Veronica, there was Archie. Back in those days, there was no commercialism on the internet. In fact, I think according to the charter of NSFNet, you couldn't do any commercial transactions or profit from using the internet, and the explosion, the .com, the commercialization of the internet, all happened when I was locked away as a presumed innocent man for 4.5 years.
So it must be like a totally different thing now, seeing
Yeah,
this.
and unfortunately, I haven't had time to really sit down and play with it at all. But it's really nothing new to me, to be honest with you. I had a radio show in Los Angeles on KFI, and my show was about demystifying the internet. So what I would do is people would access the internet, and I'd be sitting behind them, and I'd be learning about the net where I couldn't type, but where they would actually be using the internet, or they'd print out stuff for me. So it's not like it's a big mystery, but it's nice not to have to call somebody and say, hey, check my email.
To actually touch the
You
button.
used to check my email a couple times
Yeah.
a while ago as a favor.
Wading through the spam to find
Yes.
the one message
The
there.
one message we were looking for. Yeah.
Now, you've engaged in a lot of projects since your release in 2000, and they all involve some kind of a challenge, because obviously to do a radio show on KFI, you needed to get access to what was going on the net. You needed somebody to be able to check things for you. You wrote a book, which, considering it was about social engineering, it was about things that involved technology, yet you weren't able to use the internet.
Right. In fact, it was the first time I was able to use a computer was back in January of 2002. I was going to ask the probation officer for not a laptop, but for a word processor, right? So I can work on writing the book with my co-author. Because I also have to what am I going to do it on a yellow pad? So they surprised me, and my probation officer gave me permission to get a laptop or a desktop computer as long as I do not connect to the internet. So
and that must have been hard, because so many devices today connect to the internet by default, so you don't even know you're connecting to the internet.
yeah, but at first he wouldn't even let me get a modem. Then I convinced him. I said, listen, my co-author and I need to trade files, and the way we can only do it is by modem. So he said, okay. And I told him, and I bought the laptop. It had a built-in modem. You know how they are. It's not like the old days where you had to get a modem card,
right?
Or a PCMCIA card.
And these days you have built-in wireless cards.
Yes.
So you could instantly.
Actually, the laptop I had gotten did not have a wireless card. The one I have now does.
You also testified before Congress.
Testified before Congress. That was fun. You were there.
I was there.
Yeah. And
we were backstage with Joe Lieberman before he was the vice presidential candidate in 2000.
Do you remember when he told me I should become an attorney, or was it Thompson? They were joking around. I was explaining my case, and one of them said, "You should really become a lawyer, Mr. Mitnick."
That might have been Thompson, but I'm sure they both think along the same lines.
So then I said, well, there's a little problem with a felony conviction. I said, maybe you guys can help me out with a pardon. And then I was joking around with the media, and basically my first email will be to Lieberman asking him, hey, when he gets into office, consider a pardon.
They were so nice to you then.
They were nice guys.
And,
I liked
them.
them.
You gave them all kinds of information in front of that subcommittee about security and social engineering and that kind of thing. They seemed really interested, and perhaps they were. But that doesn't seem to translate in today's legislation and the way people are being prosecuted and the overall paranoid feeling that you get in society.
See, to the government, I'm still hated and discriminated against, And I mean, even recently, I went to join this group called the ISSA, which is the Information Security Systems Association. I think that's the name of it. And I went to a couple meetings, and then I filled in. And then on the second meeting, one of the guys confided in me there, that actually is part of their group, that they're going to try to ask me to leave, that I should sign up to become a member. So I signed up online the day my probation expired, and they actually sent me an email granting me membership and giving me a password to the website. So now they're trying to manipulate the situation, claiming, well, they never did enroll me. It was a mistake, and the system did it, automated. But it doesn't do it automated in 48 hours.
I remember you running into a similar situation.
So what they're trying to do, but the bottom line is here, even though I made a mistake, I paid my debt to society, I completed my probation, I've assisted the U.S. government and businesses, it's still people in the security industry are just they just won't forget, they just won't let it be. They won't let it go, and it's a constant issue. I mean, one of these guys confided me. There's people here that hate you, and I'm being discriminated against, and it's like an uphill battle still, because I'm dealing with these guys in suits that hacked when they were in the universities and hacked when they were in high school, but now they have to turn their image around like, hey, I don't condone this type of stuff. If you've done this before, you're the evilest person on earth. I mean, I look at guys like, I don't want to mention his name, one guy that runs the most successful information security company that started it. Okay. And it's on the stock, I believe, it's being traded. It's the only public
people
one.
Can find out on their own.
Right. I used to trade vulnerabilities with this guy back, in the mid 80s, early 90s. So, and to this day, the guy doesn't hire hackers at his company, right? See, it's all about image. It's all, to sum it up, it's all bullshit.
But, well, the same thing happened to you years ago, I think a digital conference.
Oh yeah, where they banned me from going to DECUS. And
what happened then?
Basically, I signed up for the conference. My company that I was working for sent me there, and they realized I was there, and the powers to be tracked me down, and they actually booted me out from that conference.
We live in a different world today with the events of 9/11 and total information awareness, the Patriot Act. What is it that frightens you the most about all this?
Well, I love a bumper sticker that I recently saw. It said something to the effect is, I love my country, but it's the government I'm afraid of. And that kind of is my sentiment exactly. I think in this post 9/11 world that our government, the people in the DOJ, are really exploiting this tragedy to get more power, under the pretense that it's to fight terrorism. And they're trying to get a lot of power to surveil United States citizens with very little or no judicial review. And it's concerning to me, because each and every time we as Americans, in trying to achieve better security because of the fear of terrorism, each and every time we give up a civil liberty, we'll never get it back. And our forefathers have fought and died in wars back, when we came from England, so to speak, to fight for these rights. And it just amazes me on a day-by-day basis of how easily people are willing to give up those rights in exchange for a little bit of security. And that's what really causes me some reflection. And then I think about why, when the government is asking for additional power, why don't they ask for that additional power for a very limited period of time? They say, well, when the fight for against terrorism is going to go on indefinitely. It's never going to be over. Just like the war on drugs, it's still going on today. It's never going to be over. So it really concerns me about how easily people are willing to give up these rights.
Well, it's because of fear, because people are afraid. So
security, they want security.
They're willing to give up rights because they're afraid of, well,
they're willing to give up their privacy in exchange for feeling more secure. But once you give up those privacy rights, you will never, ever get them back, period.
Do you see a parallel between the fear that people have of the unknown, which makes them give up all their civil liberties, and the fear that's instilled in people by the media against people like you?
Yeah, I do see a parallel. For the reason that Kevin Mitnick became the cause célèbre and the cyber boogeyman was really as a result of John Markoff's reporting, John Johnson's reporting, and the Department of Justice. They needed a cyber boogeyman to put the fear in the hearts of the American people that there's dangerous people out there, and we need to protect society against these people. And the term hacker, which I believed and still believe is an honorable term, has turned to be a derogatory term. The word hacker now means a guy with a computer that's a criminal. And that's the farthest, that is not my definition. It's the furthest thing from my mind. A hacker is somebody that enjoys the intellectual challenge, likes to take things apart, likes to stretch technology and do things that it wasn't originally intended to do. And they like figuring their way around obstacles. One of the ways that I used to figure a way around obstacles was circumventing security. It was a challenge, and it was an exploration type hobby to me. But in today's world, the word, there's cracker, there's hacker, there's white hat, there's black hat. And there's no set definition of these terms. So in what are, and I had a discussion with a Wired reporter who actually was able to, they wanted to use, when they talked about Kevin Mitnick, the word cracker. And the word cracker was a word that drew a strong inference that I was malicious. And malicious is intentionally trying to cause harm, and I was never that type of hacker. So I made it a point to argue this fact, so now when you read stories on Wired Online about me, you don't see them refer to me as a cracker.
Well, cracker is a fairly new term that was put forth by people that wanted to defend the word hacker. Cracker used to mean code cracker.
Well, they didn't want people like Kevin Mitnick and other hackers to be in the same group as them. They wanted to be distinguished because they thought that people like me brought, made the word hacker a derogatory term. I didn't do it.
So
it was the mainstream media that did it.
They made a new derogatory term.
Right.
But it has no more definition, and that's what I think is the problem with it, is that there's no definition to the word cracker, and you don't know anything about what the person.
Well, it's a malicious hacker. But what's malicious?
What does that mean?
It's malicious by, if you look at something you're not supposed to, or you get into somewhere you're not supposed to be, or is it where you write a worm, like a SQL worm, that takes down the internet? What is the line that you have to cross?
And
it's not well defined.
There are words to describe people who do malicious things, correct?
Right. There's other words like vandals, like what Markov called me, labeled me in his articles was a computer vandal that has run amok. When I never vandalized anything in my life, physical or electronically.
What do you think of the state of the hacker world today?
Well, it's interesting. It's like the hackers that I used to associate with or who I had knowledge of in the past have now taken their interest in exploring computer networks, in circumventing security, and have went to the commercial sector and are now basically hacking and getting paid for it, finding security vulnerabilities, doing security assessments, and using their skills in a very narrow area of penetration testing. And I see a lot of people that I knew about in those days doing that type of work because it's obviously too risky, and now hacking, like I think of the 1960s where smoking pot was cool in the hippie era, and now then they have that war on drugs where if you get caught with pot, like in the state of Nevada, you're going to prison for a long time. Here it's a ticket in California. But same thing in the hacking thing. In the beginning, when I started in the late 70s, it was a cool thing. It was a harmless exploration. It was you were kind of a snoop, getting in where you weren't supposed to be, but it wasn't that much of a big deal. In today's world, it's like they equate a hacker to a terrorist.
They do. But
they do. The
like
mainstream.
Today's pot smokers still think that's cool. Today's hackers still think hacking is cool.
Yeah, I believe they do. It's kind of interesting because there's a lot of hypocrisy. When I went to the RSA Security Conference last year, and Ira Winkler, who I dislike, was doing a talk, and he brought me up as the example. So I stood up. I said, "Hey, don't talk about me."
Did he know you were in the audience?
No, he didn't know I was there, right? So I must have shocked him a little bit. And so then he tried to engage me to comment, and I didn't want anything to do with him. He wrote a book, and his first chapter was just dissing me when I never even spoke to the man. So I don't like anyone that makes judgment calls with just one side of the story, right? So Winkler Forgot what the point I was going to make now.
Well, we're talking about the hacker world.
Oh
in
yeah.
general.
So after that, after this thing with Winkler happened, I had a lot of people that didn't even know I was there. Now they knew what I looked like. You know, it got a lot of attention, and they came up to me, and a lot of them said, "Hey man, we're really sorry. You got shafted. You were railroaded." You know, because to tell you the truth, I used to, you know, when I was in the university, when I was in college, I used to hack too. And these are guys coming up to me that have badges that they're with big, security organizations like Red Siren and ISS and these recognized security firms. And these are the guys that would decree hacking. You know, if you're a hacker, you're a bad guy. You know, and they used to do it themselves. A great number of them used to be involved, you know, in the younger years, as dabbling in a little bit of unauthorized activity.
And they remember those years.
And they remember those years. Of course, the people that told me this, and there were numerous of them, they never told me in front of anybody else.
Of course.
You know, they went up to me privately. Yeah.
They're afraid of being labeled, outed as
just
a hacker.
like a lot of these firms, like At Stake, ISS. They, you know, these are the guys, you know, that I've heard have engaged in a little bit of questionable activity, right? Have crossed the line themselves, yet, oh, we'd never hire a hacker, you know, like with the fiber optic thing. I thought it was ridiculous. It's all about image. It's all.
What kind of a message would you send to today's hackers, the kids that are just starting out, that are curious, that see you as kind of a role model?
Well, I don't want them to end up in my shoes and go through the trial and tribulations. And also, back in my day, it was the cool thing to do. In today's world, it's really looked at as a violation of another person's property rights. So, you know, by hacking into systems that aren't yours. So, in today's world, you can set up your own network at home. You can set up a network with a group of people and try to hack into each other's systems and not go into like corporations or where you're not supposed to be. Otherwise, you might end up as the new example. You don't want to be the new example.
But they've moved the line a bit. They've made it so that if you even try and reverse engineer a program, you're breaking a law now. You can go to prison for that.
Oh, the DMCA.
Violating the Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
It's ridiculous.
So it's not
the
just,
DMCA
it's not just
is
hacking into
we could
someone
go
else's
on for
computer.
that for an hour. The DMCA is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's
But
all about money. Money gets the lobbying
You
power.
can commit a crime on your own computer without connecting to anything, just by figuring out
Well, if
another
you do so,
computer
don't tell
program.
anybody. You know what am I going to say? I mean, do I think it's wrong to find vulnerabilities in security mechanisms that protect copyrighted materials? No. You know, do I think the law is bullshit? Yes. Would I openly violate that law? No. Would I encourage anybody to violate it? No. You know, it's kind of like, you know, is it illegal to listen to cellular phone calls on scanners? Yes. Do people do it all the time? Yes. You know, do people do it in the presence of the FBI? No. You know.
How would you fight the ridiculous laws? Not you personally, but how, in general, should the hacker community, should the population at
Well,
large
the problem is,
fight these things?
it's very difficult to fight because it takes money. I mean, the people, the RIAA, the MPAA, they have a lot of money backing them. The people that are interested in defeating security for the intellectual challenge do not have a lot of money, and they're more of the everyday wage earner. Okay, but at least back in my day. So it's who has the most money is going to win. You know, who's going to have the money to influence congressmen and women and senators?
Well,
it's the people with
obviously,
the money.
we're never going to have as much money as the opposition, but should we give up because of that?
No, I don't believe in giving up. You should get the word out to the population about the pros and cons, and influence people to make up their own mind based on the arguments.
That's one thing that I think we can look to the Free Kevin movement as getting the word out.
Yeah, that's.
I
very
thought
true.
it was amazing how the word spread, how everybody was saying Free Kevin, and I think that kind of added to future movements such as the Free Dimitri movement and various.
Yeah,
other
I
things.
actually picketed for Dimitri down here in Santa Monica. It's funny, my girlfriend and I were in Las Vegas, and on her Jeep Cherokee, she has a Free Kevin bumper sticker, and we're driving in Vegas. This is about a week or two ago, and then someone shouts out, "He's already free!" Out of the car. It's kind of cool because you never figure that people are really going to know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people stop my grandmother. They go, "Who's Kevin?" You know,
And so many people do know. So many people have found out. People you wouldn't expect. You know,
Right.
gas station attendants and people's
no,
fathers-in-law.
and I owe a lot of gratitude, to you personally and to the members of 2600 for getting the word out. Because if people didn't speak their mind to their opinion of what was happening to me and about my civil rights being disregarded, about the media and about the federal prosecutors, creating a character of Kevin Mitnick, of something that I never really could do, like break into NORAD or start a nuclear war, is they would have basically been able to pull the wool over everybody's eyes. And who knows, I might not even be here today talking to you. I might have been the computer terrorist, or Miramax, when they were making that atrocious movie that was going to cast me in this light as the Hannibal Lecter of computers, when it was simply a fabricated script loosely based on Markov's writings.
And here we are 5 years later. That film still has not seen the light of day in this country. It's out in Europe, but I don't think it's ever going to.
And I get email all the time saying, "I love the film. You were great." And
are you sure they're not talking about this film?
No, they're talking about Takedown, right? They're talking about Takedown, and it's not true. It's not the true story. And they're like they're now a fan because they saw this movie that doesn't depict the real Kevin Mitnick.
Do you get any mail about Freedom Downtime?
No.
No.
No, it's all about, they call it Cybertrack but don't forget, I haven't been using email for that long.
True. That's true.
What's the date? The 25th? So we're talking about 4 whole days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what did you think of Freedom Downtime?
Oh, I thought it was great.
Yeah. Anything that we got wrong? Anything that needs to be expanded upon?
Well, no, I think it's always good to get information. I thought it could have been just a tad bit shorter. And like, for instance, like you had a scene in there where you're removing gum out of the car.
That was an important scene.
Wow. That's a very valuable scene. It was funny.
It symbolized the difficulty that we were having telling the story because it stuck to the surface of the car and it was just a mess.
Maybe I just didn't get it, but I thought it was very well done, and it's the best. It's the best film that really goes out into the community and really discusses the important issues. And see, what I think the Free Kevin movement is about, it's not just about me, it's about we don't want this to happen again. We don't want the government or business to use their powers to unfairly make an example out of somebody for something they did not do because they're trying to advance their own agenda. John Markoff was trying to advance the agenda of writing the Kevin Mitnick book so he can profit, which he did, and he made multi-million dollars. The government's agenda was trying to get more power and more laws passed that the DOJ could enforce. The prosecutor's agenda and their overzealousness in my prosecution was to advance in their own careers. In fact, right after I pled guilty, Christopher Painter went on to be the deputy chief of CSIPS, the Computer Crime and Intellectual Property section, and David Schindler went into private practice right after the Kevin Mitnick case was done because they wanted to advance in their own careers. The FBI wanted to basically send a message, if you make fools out of us, we're going to get you.
One thing a lot of people ask about with regards to the film Freedom Downtime is what was going on inside the prison when we were filming you from the mobile station across the street. Now, you've told me this story of what was actually happening inside while you were banging on the window.
Well, at first, the guards, didn't know anything. But out the window, I can see you guys, and there was a can of like hair gel, like a little tub can, and to signal you so you know what window I'm at, because I know it's very difficult to see up from there. I'd bang on the little tiny window. The window was yay big, like it was a slit of glass. You can't even. It was about the size of this.
Yeah.
And it's really not comfortable to look out or look in. So I was banging on the thing to get your attention, and I was surprised that you could actually hear it so loudly, because when I saw Freedom Downtime, I could hear it, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And eventually, what happened is the prison guards or the staff realized that there was somebody across the street with a camera filming up at the prison. So then they figured out somehow that it had something to do with me. So as I was signaling to you and waving, and then I just had an intuition at a certain time to go down to where the guard was and just chat with him. and that way he sees I'm right there, so I couldn't have been anywhere else. So coincidentally, within 30 seconds of, within about 5 minutes of chatting, he gets a phone call, and he's talking. He goes, "No, he's right here in front of me." So somebody called asking where I was, assuming I was at the window, and then all of a sudden there's like the goon squad came, all these guards, and they locked everybody down in their rooms, but they didn't do it. They asked me about, "Do you know who's across the street? Do you know what's going on?" I go, "No, I just acted completely stupid," and that's what I recall.
So, how many people were in this prison at the time?
Well, I was on a floor with about 130 other inmates.
Was it the entire prison that got locked down? Just the floor?
From what I know, it was just the entire floor.
How do they know what floor to lock down?
I guess what they saw is, I don't know. They knew because you guys had Free Kevin banners. They knew it was probably the floor that I was on, that you guys were protesting or something, and they get very paranoid when somebody's outside filming the prison. And it's great you guys were across the street, because when they told you to go away, you just basically go fly a kite.
Well, no, what they did was they told us to come over to them.
Right.
They were standing on their sidewalk. And said, "Come over here. We just want to talk to you for a second."
He said, "Come over here."
I said, "No way. We're not going over there." So we stayed by the mobile station.
Because there's nothing they can do when you're on public property.
And we weren't the only people there. Other people were coming and waving at their relatives or whatever. And it's the only place you can visit for many.
Yeah. Then what's happened is someone actually took a Free Kevin bumper sticker and stuck it on the glass at the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Wasn't us. We didn't do that.
Right. So get this. So these morons come up to me and barge in the room I was in, and they go, "How did this sticker get up on the window?" I knew, "Oh yeah, well I snuck out of the prison and put it up and came back," and I go, "I don't know." And they, I just played dumb, and they basically went about their business. But what's the intelligence of these guys that come up to me and ask how did I do it? I broke out, then I decide to put a sticker on and come back up?
How were you treated for the most part in prison, both by the guards and the fellow prisoners?
Well, when I was in detention in MDC, I was treated reasonably well by the prison guards there. They were just doing their job. Some of them decided they had personal issues and would be very petty, but the prisoners, I had a lot of respect because of my intelligence and for what I was in there for, and because of my notoriety. But at the same time, there was a lot of disrespect because I didn't do it for the money. Because they said if they had my skills, they would have been using that to get fat bank accounts. That's what their terminology was. They'd have big bank. That's their lingo in there, and they would have used the skills that I had to steal as much money as potentially possible and go, live in Tahiti.
So from both sides, you lose. People either think that you're doing something of a terroristic nature and you should be locked up for the maximum amount of time, or they don't respect you because you didn't.
Now imagine if I wanted to really hurt this country when I was in prison, to teach these guys the skills and to give them the tools, especially in today's world where hacker tools are, just simply going to the right website.
People who you ordinarily would never associate with.
Right, ordinarily would never associate with. If I had wanted to, which I never had done, I could have given them the intelligence and the know-how, and they could have used those skills, and they certainly would have been ripping off everybody left and right.
Do you really think you could have taught people in that prison to hack on a level that you're?
I could have given them. Yeah, there's a lot of intelligent people there. Yeah, I mean, I don't say at the same level, but at least where they can start. And how the vulnerabilities that are out there in some of the systems. I certainly could have given them information, but I never had a desire to.
Did they ever pressure you to do this?
Well, I was approached by a Colombian drug lord that offered me $5 million cash, no questions asked, if I could somehow get him released once I was released from custody. And I had a Nigerian guy who was part of a Nigerian credit card fraud ring that said if I were to give him 100,000 credit cards, he'd give me $1 million cash. Of course, I would never see. My motive and purpose behind hacking was never to steal, and I consider that like outright theft, and that wasn't what Kevin Mitnick was about. So, of course, I never took any of these guys up on their offers.
Throughout this whole ordeal, a lot of us have been impressed by the support from your family.
Yes, my grandmother, my mom.
It's simply incredible, and I think we should spend a moment just acknowledging that, and. Also, I'm wondering how much strength did you actually gain from your relatives on the outside who were?
Oh, a tremendous amount. Especially from my mother and grandmother. They were always there behind me. They were very supportive. They'd come up to visit me and they would drive from Las Vegas to Los Angeles like every, 3 weeks. And they went through an extreme hardship. Not only did I go through a painful experience, but it was very painful for my mother and grandmother. My dad also, it affected him, and he passed away from lung cancer in July of 2001. And I really missed out on the years that I could have spent, with family like my father. And then as soon as I get out, this medical situation happened, and then he passed away, and I lost all that time with him. So that was a significant, emotional event in my life that there's nothing I can do. It happened, and if I wasn't, sent away for 5 years, at least I could have spent more time with my father.
And then the time before that, when you were on the run and weren't able to spend time with them.
Yes, with anybody. And that was the reason I went on the run, was because I was afraid. Afraid that the government would have hyped me up to be somebody that I really wasn't and punish me, like they did before, and I was just scared.
Mm-hmm. So what do you have planned for the future?
Well, I wrote this book, Art of Deception, which is doing really well. It's all about social engineering, how it's done, and it's kind of like a security awareness training tool. So people and companies could use this and read and learn about the techniques, so they'll be able to recognize, to prevent, detect, and respond to these types of threats. And then I just started defensive thinking with my colleague Alex Casper, and we're doing kind of like what I mentioned earlier. What do you see hackers doing nowadays? Taking their skills and working for the commercial sector. So we're looking at doing security awareness training, vulnerabilities, security assessments, pen testing, and wireless security. So I'm basically taking my knowledge with technical knowledge and people-based knowledge and applying it to help businesses protect themselves against the threats.
Well, best of luck with that.
Thank you.
And thanks for all the inspiration. We're sorry you went through.
Well, thank you. It's hard to believe this whole thing is over.
Yeah.
We're sitting here today. I remember, I could reflect back to the time I was arrested on February 15th, 2000. No, yeah, what was it? February 15, 1995. My God.
Yeah.
At 1:30 in the morning, and here it's what you have my watch. It's January 24th, 25th, and of 2003. Mm-hmm. So it's been a long, almost 8 years of dealing with this, which is, and originally the government wanted to give me a sentence minimum of 8 years. Mm-hmm. They were trying to put me away for a very long time, claiming that I actually, the federal prosecutors in the case actually wanted me to go through a CIA debriefing when I was arrested in North Carolina under the guise that I infiltrated US government secrets. It's the same thing with Kevin Polson's case. They accused him of having national security information. What they had done is he worked for SRI International. He backed up his computer, put it onto mag tape, stored it in the locker. So when they found him, there was some information there that they classified after they found it on him. They play dirty pool.
Yeah.
And it's a very scary thing. You never want to be. The government is like it's a machine that never stops, that has unlimited money. And if you ever become a target of the federal government, God help you, unless you have a lot of money to fight them.
I think those are almost exactly the same words Bernie S. said in our film. And it's amazing to hear that you've both been through such similar situations and you both have the same perspective. And I imagine many, many people also have that perspective who have been through the ringer. And I'm really dreading the amount of people that will go through this in the future. And I hope that we can all be together to fight this and to kind of be a unified front, maybe a resource for people to come to should bad things happen.
Yeah, like I would be there for the next guy and try to help in any way I can. In fact, Omar Figueroa, who's a lawyer, actually represented me pro bono when the state was going to try to prosecute me after the federal government had finished, if you recall that.
Yes.
And he actually called me and said, hey, would you be an expert witness in this case that I'm defending? And I said, sure, I'd do it pro bono, because I don't want somebody else to be subjected to the hype and hyperbole and mistreatment that I had undergone at the hands of overzealous government officials.
So we're all going to be there. We're all going to keep trying to fight this thing and keep people updated in the future.
Yes, great.
All right.
And I want to
Kevin,
thank you. Hey, it's been a
thanks.
pleasure.
All right. Best of luck.
All right.
Congratulations, Kevin!
Congratulations, Kevin.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Say congratulations, Kevin.
Congratulations, Kevin. Welcome back to the internet. I have a porn site. See me there.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Congratulations, Kevin. I'll be hiding these now.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin, congratulations from your friends and family in Wisconsin.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Hey, congratulations, Kevin!
Congratulations, Kevin. It's been 2 days, so we're waiting.
Does it have a T or a D, congratulations? It sounds like congrat. People say congrat, but you say congratulations like a D. It doesn't always sound like a D, congratulations. It's a G even. How do you say it? Say it.
Congratulations.
Do you see it's a G? Congratulations, it's a G. It's not a T or a D, it's a G. C-O-N-G, adulations. Whatever it's spelled. Congratulations, Kevin. Fucking A.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Sorry, Kevin. I wasted your time and everyone else's who's watched this with a lot of nonsense. But, you know, we're all pretty happy that you're not just out, but now you're sort of free to roam and play like all of us have for, well, since you've been in jail pretty much. So welcome to the club. It's great to have you. Continued success and more of that kind of stuff.
Congratulations, Kevin. Good job.
Kevin, dear, the world is yours. The day has finally come. Congratulations, honey.
Congratulations, Kevin. Welcome back.
May the force be with you.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Yeah, you know, that's good. What she just did, we get everybody to say, congratulations, Kevin, it's sort of a collage at the end. Congratulations, Kevin, Steve Wozniak, President Bush, the Pope, and like, in the end, we just go out, and this is good to include for the DVD blooper, that we're actually thinking of this right now. At the very end, we just end with congratulations, Kevin, on the screen, fade to black. Who knows how to make a film?